Shalom. Let me get straight into this lesson. I'm gonna play this little short video. Be going into this so-called 4th of July. 4th of July is a lie. All right, so let's get into this short video. Then I'm gonna get into this lesson.
When people ask what you're about to do on the 4th, you already know what we about to get ready to do. But answer this question for me. Why do we always do this on the 4th? Got the grill marks on too? Oh yeah, time to get down. But make sure if you have company, make sure your company does not bring no to-go plates and start trying to pack up their food for lunch tomorrow in the break room. Make sure they don't pack no to-go plates.
Now you see the folly of our people. Completely destroy people, man, with no sense of awareness, no knowledge, and just go for anything. So let me get into this what I got from Chat GPT. And I'm gonna get into some more information, but it's a lot. Kind of bear with me. And I put this phrase in: if you don't, if you don't stand for nothing, you will fall for anything. Right? Check this at the very top. It says, if you don't have any beliefs, principles, or values you hold strongly, and that's the problem with our people, Jake, and the other tribes, is they don't stand for anything. It's just all based into folly and ignorance. And just we want to be a part of something. It says if you're neutral, passive, or indifferent about everything, if you refuse to take a side and have no moral, spiritual, it says position, philosophical position, right? It says in proper grammar, single negative, this really means if you don't stand for something, it says right here at the number 2, it said you will fall for anything. It says fall for means to be easily fooled, Salakia, to be easily deceived, to be easily manipulated, to be easily convinced. That's heavy. It says it implies that a person without a firm foundation is vulnerable. Right? You might believe false ideologies, buy into scams, follow leaders, or get swept in trends because you have no internal compass. And that's you Israelites. Right here at the bottom, it says full meaning in debt. It says this phrase is a warning and a life principle. It says if you don't have your own values, beliefs, or convictions, then you'll become a follower of anything. Oh man, that's heavy. I'm gonna read that again. It says if you don't have your own values, beliefs, or convictions, then you'll become a follower of anything, good or bad, simply because you have nothing solid to guide you. And this what you see with Jake. They just living their best life, living in the world. They think everything is just, cool. They, just ignoring all the history, just living a life, in Babylon. So let's go here. So let's go. This cultural assimilation. I was getting into that yesterday. Matter of fact, let's get this. Get this real quick for somebody might not know what's really going on because Jake's a little slow. It says yes. It says on July 4th, 1776, so-called black people were still enslaved in newly independent United States. So what are you celebrating? It's just common sense. But now you have that, some people don't know about this. It's sad, but they haven't been taught this to go to show you the failure of the Christian church. All right. So right here, the Declaration of Independence did not immediately grant freedom to enslaved so-called black people, despite its declaration that all men are created equal. So that's a lie. That wasn't meant for you. That was meant for so-called white people. When they put all this together, our people were still in slavery. So let's go here. But Jake don't stand for nothing. So what you expect? It says right here. It says January the 31st, 1865, and you wasn't free, you was emancipated. That's another misconception. They just did a transfer of that slavery from private to public, to the government. It says passed by Congress January 31st, 1865, and ratified on December 6, 1865. So this, you, what are you Jake celebrating? You know what I'm saying? The ninja just want to do something because they off work. So let's go here. Salakia. Let's go here. And that's how people looking for that validation. They want to be a part of something. Right here. It says 20 Jeremiah Salakia. At the top. It says in the King James version of the Bible, Jeremiah 2:33 asks, why trimmest thou thy way to seek love? This is a rhetorical Salakia. Rhetorical Salakia. Question challenging Judah's actions. It means, why do you make your ways appealing to seek love? Let me shorten this down. The verse implies that Judah is trying to appear desirable to other nations. Right, so you trying to, trim your way, to seek the love, the validation of the so-called white man. Right? Celebrating his holidays, this ain't got nothing to do with you. It says right here at the top, this phrase refers to Judah, which would be you Israelites, attempts to make their behavior appear attractive or acceptable. You hear this? It says the word trim suggests adorning or making something presentable, like a woman making herself attractive to a lover. But there you go. So our people have been culturally assimilated to this culture, and that's all they know. They've been stripped from their culture and have embraced their enemy culture. It says cultural assimilation. I went to this yesterday. Cultural assimilation is a process where individuals or groups adopt the cultural norms. That's why most of our people bugged out. They've been under this normality of this devil, which is nothing but normal. He's diabolical, right? This devil values and behaviors of a dominant culture. So you literally have catted the so-called white man culture from all the things you celebrate, the way you move out here, the way you think. Our people are really messed up. They're really sick. They're really sick in the head, man. Let's go here. But it's our people look. They want to be part of something. They want to belong somewhere. And you to see these talking heads among our people, when they talking about America, they like to say we, this country, our country. No, this is the Edomite country. We just captives here. This is not our native home. And a lot of you Jays got that real bad. You'll say we, this out of your own ignorance. Belonging. So our people want to belong to something. So they cling on to this culture, even though they are mistreated and treated like second-class citizens, they still embrace it out of their mental illness. It says a feeling of being happy, belonging, a feeling of being happy or comfortable as a part of a particular group and having a good relationship with the other members of the group. So that's what you want to belong to something. So that's why you embrace this culture and you're looking for validation. Salakia. Validation. It says the meaning of validation is an act, process, or instance of validating. That ain't really giving me too much right here. It says right here at the top, Cambridge Dictionary. It says the feeling that other people approve of and accept you. That's heavy. That's heavy. It says the feeling that other people approve of and accept you. You're looking to be accepted by your enemy, which makes no sense. And a lot of what you would do too, G. Jackson saying, well, I got an off day, so I'm going to go ahead and turn up and do what I do. But what you don't understand, you can't redefine what something means. This day, on July 4th, 1776, your people were still in captivity, hardcore bondage. And it wasn't ever meant for you, but a lot of Jake's so slow they can't comprehend what I just said. That's how Jake is sheeple. It says redefine. So a lot of you jakes, you say, I don't celebrate it for that reason, like you do. You say that about Christmas and all these other, like Thanksgiving Day. You try to redefine it, but you can't change the origin of what something mean and redefine it to what you want it to mean. It says redefine. It says something such as a concept again, right? Redefine the concepts. It says at the bottom to change the meaning of something or to make people think about something in a new or different way. Yeah. So Jake could do that too. So the Most High has barricaded you off, Jake, right? The Most High gave you an ultimatum. Either you're gonna go back, you're gonna conform to his way, come out of the world, or you're gonna be in the world. It ain't no lukewarm and ain't no in between. It says in the KJV, the spirit of the world. So the spirit of the world has Jake into straight desensitized to what he's doing. Jake will throw some on they like doing it out of habit. They doing it out of tradition. They not really understanding what are they doing, why they doing it, why you celebrating this, all right? It says in the KJV, the spirit of the world refers to the worldly mindset or attitude that is contrary to God's spirit, Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah. And that's going along with these traditions that you've been taught in Babylon. And I get, I understand this too. Jake could do this out of being nostalgia, right? So a lot of this stuff make Jake remember and reminisce when they was a child, right? It says it compasses the values, desires, and tendencies that are prevalent in the world and are not lined with Yahweh will, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah. The spirit is characterized by a focus on worldly things like these holidays that your enemy gave you. That you got to be sick in the head, man. It says human wisdom and self-centeredness rather than on spiritual things and Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah purposes. And this is all Jake full of solid. When it's time to barbecue, bullshit around, you know, get drunk, smoke they blunts, Jake is there, right? Jake don't have no spiritual insight. They're spiritually dead, even though they might seem to have a sense of believing in something. All right, give me 1 second. Matter of fact, let me go to this. I found another good one. Right here. The spirit of the world is described as the inclination, tendency. It says a frame of mind that is motivated by the world's culture. That's heavy. Because this culture has cultivated your mind to celebrate these traditions that ain't got nothing to do with you. But Jake is moving out here like as a blind man, spiritually speaking. And they think the folly that they do, they think is not a big deal. But they don't care. Jake don't care. Jake want to throw something on the grill tomorrow. Right? They don't have no, and this generation here is cooked. They finished. They don't got no sense of direction of what's going on. All right, hopefully this lesson was edifying. Call Allah, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rahak, Kodash. Shalom.